Hello everybody, welcome back to wolfeei. Today we're going to be doing a review of Block Wars 12, baby! What a W successful event yesterday. I had a great time. And yeah, spoiler alert, in this video I will be talking about who won, placements, etc. So if you haven't watched yet, you can watch my VOD, which is up right now. It's actually on the screen right now here as well, but it's up on my channel already right now. And yeah, let's get started. So spoiler alert, we're gonna get to details of how people did, etc. and just the full event review in general. All right, let's begin. So first, the winners, of course. My scroll will stop working, but it was Pink Team, which was a fun surprise, I think, for most people. I already was kind of predicting Pink a little on the higher end. When we were making teams, it ended up being one of the more statistically strong teams, including Jimmy and Joel's like for fun team stats. So I was like, well, this team might end up being a little bit on the stronger end, but whatever. It would be fun to see this team make it through. And they clutched up near the end. Because of battle, they went from, I think, like 4th or something to 2nd, taking over, I think, orange and blue. No, blue also clutched. I don't know. I don't know who else was in contention. Maybe they were in 3rd before. But they made it to the finale unexpectedly, which is a very fun surprise. And yeah, big shout out to them for that, of course. And then let's get to the specific games and other event-related things. Big congrats to these guys. Excited to see them play, of course. All right, let's get started. So these are the actual stats of the event. The website, unfortunately, doesn't work as of right now. I could probably actually put this in frame that you can see all the placements across the board. But let's get started with just the entire event experience. Obviously, again, there was a delay to starting events. This is a standard now, honestly, in terms of Minecraft events. Thankfully, it is not an event hosting issue. It is instead, it is a player issue. We had somebody, or we had Lineshoe was completely unable to show up, which, to be fair, the reason they gave was valid, but I will not reveal, of course. But it was an unexpected sub, and we only started getting a replacement, I think, like 10 minutes after the intended event start time, so things took a little bit longer than usual, but it went fine for the rest. The event ran very smoothly. There was no, like, big, like, issues, I think, universally. There were some people that were having lag issues in games like Battle. I don't know what caused that. I would like to find out, but I don't know how that was caused. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess, if we can track that down. Obviously, that isn't fun to have those lag issues, because for Orange Team specifically, I know it was a big hit, because they were in 1st in the last game, and then during battle, multiple of their teammates were having lag problems and weren't really able to properly play the game, which I don't know how much that actually impacted their performance, but I can imagine that's very frustrating, so very unfortunate that that happened. But yeah, anyways, for the rest, the general event-wise, it just went pretty well. I would say team balancing was pretty solid. Of course, with a Feinberg team making it to the finale, people will always be up my ass about balancing, because people love to be super annoying to me specifically about balancing, because I don't know why, but they cared the most about Minecraft event team balancing in the world more than anything else. So anyways, I think it was pretty solid. Yes, Feinberg's team did end up being in contention for top 2 for the pretty much the entire event, and ended up placing 1st. To be fair, I'm not really sure why, because statistically speaking, that team was really bad. But Feinberg difference, I guess, turns out to be much more significant than I thought, which means that we'll slowly try to adjust and figure out where the sweet spot is for a Feinberg team. Because, like, I want to give Fein cool teams and winnable teams still going forward, but that man needs to not have a finale team. Same with Joe Bart, honestly, but for Joe it's a little bit easier, I think, because he isn't a top player that carries a team. He's just a good, consistent player that, like, rounds out a team, so it's a little bit different. Anyways, let's go over every single game now, because there were some tweaks made to the event, based on the Block Wars 11 playing and feedback, also some of the Origins feedback, of course. and I think that pretty much every adjustment was really good. Overspleef didn't actually get any adjustments, so it's funny that that's the first one. But Overspleef was a pretty fun experience. I absolutely threw. As you can see, I got 33rd. I did pretty good in the first round, and then the second round I died first because I got shot off the map by Callum CPK, that freak. And then the third round I just spleefed myself with a meteor, or I think a meteor fell like right in front of my feet. It was just unlucky. So better luck next time, I guess. Wasn't that bad because I was only 1 point behind Joe Bart, and he's kind of the GOAT, so I don't know. Anyways, next up, Tomb Titans had a lot of tweaks and a lot of changes. I didn't really end up getting to see a majority of things because I actually did really bad in this game as well. I ended up dying like twice, I think, or maybe 3 times. Thankfully, I had my GOAT, President Poundcake, right next to my side to help me. I don't really know what happened. I think I just ran into a lot of skeletons, and the ranged combat on the skeletons is kind of insane. It is really hard to push through that early game, so might have to be tweaked. I don't know. I did think that the skill increase or the difficulty increase was really good for the rest. As you can see, there's actually an okay point gap. It's not like crazy. Keep in mind, these are all team splits. There's actually an okay point gap here, as opposed to last time where the scores were like insanely high. The game was way too easy and people kind of just had the same points. It didn't really end up mattering at all, I think, for the scores overall. But this time, it was a little bit different, and I think it was pretty good. I liked it a lot more. I was actually impressed by how much the changes impacted the gameplay experience. In Origins, when I played it last time, I really did agree with everyone saying that it was a little bit boring. And this time around, it was way better. It's still not, like, perfect. There's still slight tweaks that can be made, but I think it was a lot better than what it was before. It'll just take time for balancing to even out. And obviously, as you can see here, score-wise, this game is a little mediocre, especially compared to Order Up, which is another team split game. Order Up points are nuts. These top 3 teams had way more points than everyone else. But that'll be looked into, I guess, over time. It's just a matter of balancing everything out and figuring out what the sweet spot is. Keep in mind, blockwars only on their 12th event so far, compared to MCC, which we shouldn't always have to compare to MCC, but compared to MCC, we would still be in Season 1 in terms of the amount of events that have been hosted, main event-wise. So, technically, you know, I think it's fine that some of the balancing issues are there, but they shouldn't be there forever. They'll be figured out eventually, I think. Anyways. Next up is Race, which was actually really cool in terms of performance, because in Race, the top 5 players included my entire Blockwars, or PB11 team. Sorry, not Blockwars 11. PB11 team. Me, Kyle, Purpled, and Feinberg all placed top 5 in times and in points. I ended up actually top fragging, which is interesting. I didn't expect that to happen, but I did end up top fragging in terms of comparatively to them. Feinberg Noob only 5th, Noob, Purpled Noob only 4th, me and Kyle, Chad, Shane, well, ignore that guy, but me and Kyle, Chad 2nd and 3rd, Purpled, Feinberg, Noob 4th and 5th. They're noobs, okay? They're big noobs. Anyways, yeah, for the rest, pretty solid performance. I don't know if Race really got many tweaks. I don't actually remember. I don't think the map got changed. But there might have been some changes. There were some changes to like the post-game breakdown and like the what's it called? The time. Like they showcased some more info pretty much, but there was no like actual gameplay impactful changes. I think so. I mean I liked them. It was good oversight. Cool to see like best placement increase and how much time difference there was between laps, etc. Like that was cool. And yeah. Also back to Order Up, because I forgot to mention, there were some tweaks to like upgrades and stuff. Because my team had 2 newcomers and I was supposed to be the lead player and I kind of felt like I was responsible for pretty much everything. Poundy was on crafting for the most part, but having just me and Poundy kind of be the crafters and then pretty much Anthos having to take team lead was a little rough. I didn't really get to get a good feel of the upgrade difference. I don't know what these 3 teams did at the top and why they went so much harder than everyone else. I have no clue. I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Maybe Origins will reveal some more information regarding that. But yeah, I don't know how good the upgrade changes were. I wasn't able to abuse upgrades this time, but it might have just been because of my team. So who knows? Anyways, next up, Trailblazers. W change, the visual thing with the gold courses and having just the things at the top, knowing where your teammates are. Very nice. I liked it. It was good. It was just good. I don't know, man. I just liked it a lot. That was good. Cool. Big thumbs up for me. For the rest, I mean, Trailblazers is always just a big question mark for me because I don't really know if I'm doing well all the time. Also, no clue if these points are balanced. This seems to be pretty good in terms of individual like point difference. It's probably one of the biggest ones, but I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing because Shane getting 500 points, or actually more so, these top 3 players getting like 500 plus points and 4th being more than 100 behind is kind of crazy. It really solidified who the top 3 players for this event were going to be. But yeah, insane that was a thing. But oh well. And then Blitz Hunt next up. I mean, Joel popped off. I was talking about Joel a little bit post event, and he asked if anyone had like survived every round in Blitz Hunt before, which I don't think has happened, but maybe. But yeah, Joel absolutely popped off. I think last time that they played Blitz Hunt, I think it was a blockwars 9. I recall Pink Team doing pretty good as well, but I could be wrong. I don't keep track of individual player stats ever, so I don't really know. I don't really know if Joel was good last time, but he did good this time, and that's all that matters. Blitz Hunt, I mean, there's a change for the sonar, and I think some of the new rooms that were intended to be in last event were a bit more prevalent this time around. For example, the military base one, which I really liked. No bias. Anyways, also some really cool performances just in general across the board here. Seeing Velvet top frag their team. Emrek being in 6 was insane. Like, just some really goofy performances. Kornios also did really good. Had like a crazy like 4K, like 4 kills in a row, literally last second, which was insane. But yeah, I liked it. Blitz Hunt, always good. Blitz Hunt, always a thumbs up for me. So I like, big fan. Next up, Extraction. One thing that I didn't really like too much about this event is that the game order was a little silly goofy, where the 2 PvP games were left last, which I don't think should ever happen again in Block Wars. Please, no battle game 8. I don't think people like that, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Extraction was solid. I mean, it was on a old map that we've used plenty of times, which is Steam. Probably one of the best, if not the best, Extraction map we have. And it played really well, of course, because it's just an Extraction map that we are very used to, and proof is in the pudding that it's good. So yeah, it went well. I think the health power up actually was really interesting because it meant that people were kind of forced to play aggressive off rip. I just think the main difference with this event was that people tried new strats or something. I don't know. The Extraction just felt weird. Like, Feinberg's team mowed everyone down, but then Orange team we thought was going to be like insane, and then we clutched against them, but then other teams completely destroyed us again, and then it was weird. It was weird. I don't know, man. I still love the game though. One thing that does suck for me is that with EU ping, the game is harder, and with Australian ping especially, the game is harder because Emrek was barely able to shoot people. Because the issue with Quick Charge 3 is that you end up having like one-on-one situations pretty much, where it's like a relatively close range and people are just spamming arrows trying to kill somebody. I can't win that ever because I don't recharge as fast as other people. Some people may have 20 ping, I have 100 or 90 ping. That little difference is very noticeable in a game like Extraction when you're trying to shoot each other and reload as fast as possible and try to launch it immediately. I can't do that. And Emrek, I don't know how many MS he has, like maybe 200, 300. He's especially effed. He can't do anything there. So a little unfortunate, but we made it work. We got like 7th or 6th in that game, I think, but we made it work a little bit, I guess, kind of. Anyways, next up, Battle. Battle, I must say, the changes for Battle were really, really good. The bad thing about Battle is that it was the last game, and if you don't know, Blockwars has a new point multiplier system as of last event, where game 1 through 6 is a 1x multiplier, game 7 is a 1.5x multiplier, and game 8 is a 2x multiplier. Battle is a PvP game, and PvP games typically have a very big point gap. So as you can see here, this is unmultiplied. The point differential is pretty big, and the reason for that is it's an elimination-based PvP game. That's not round robin. That's why Extraction is a bit more balanced. It's because it's round robin. Battle is kind of just a free-for-all type of situation. It's like a battle royale type style, maybe not really, but kind of. Where there's a lot of room for people to do really, really good or really, really bad, and there is no way to really properly balance that. As you can see here, some people did really good. For example, blue team and pink team and yellow team, and that's about it. But those teams shot up a lot from the performance in the event. I think if we look at the bottom here, blockwars team I think this is not overall standings. If we go over here, you see a pretty interesting whoa, hold on. Huh? You see a pretty interesting balance. I don't know what this... Oh, this is without battle, I think? Okay. I'm trying to figure out... Oh, here we go. You see a pretty interesting change in terms of placements here. As you can see, before this game, Fighters was in #1 spot, and Giants was in the #3 spot. They ended up in the #4 and the #6 spot. Thunders, despite doing well, I feel like, we're still in 5th. I don't really know how that works. I guess the points are pretty close. This is actually very close. These are like all pretty much in contention with each other, which is crazy. Just our team and the purple team a little far behind. Maybe caused by too many newcomers or newer players. I don't know, man. That is probably the reason. But you can see that the points changed quite a lot at the end. And it was actually made for a very interesting reveal at the end, because we were super surprised seeing that much of a difference. But we should have known, because it's Battle. Battle is, like mentioned, a known big point diff game. But, yeah. Oh, also, I want to mention, let me pause 1 second. Okay, we're back. I wanted to pull something up because there was an argument being made, and this is from Orange Team, and I don't want to say anything regarding, like, oh, Orange Team is, like, blah, 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 blah. Because Orange Team, very validly, was upset about being pushed out of the top, or the #1 spot at the end of the event because they didn't perform super well in battle. But the reason that was given, and the reason that a lot of people were saying publicly, is that they say the point multiplier is like, oh, it's only the last games that matter, oh, blah, 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 whatever, whatever. I can prove to you right now that is factually incorrect, because this is the math that goes alongside the placements, or sorry, alongside the points, and percentage-wise how much impact they have on the event scores. And as you can tell here, pretty much the new multiplier just evens the event out overall. It doesn't make the final and the second to final, the game 7 and 8, that much more valuable, because if you look at the previous multiplier, which is a pretty common multiplier in other events as well, these games have way more percentage impact on the event than the 1.5 and 2x have. More notably, Game 7 in an old multiplier was 17% of the scores, whereas now it is roughly 16% of the scores, which isn't that much of a big difference, but it is less now. And then, obviously, Game 8, it is a 0.5 percentile difference between the old scores, or 0.4, maybe 0.3, 0.4 pretty much, right? 0.4% difference between the old multiplier and the new multiplier, which, to be fair, you're never gonna notice. That is maybe like 20 points, I don't know. That's like a super, super, super small difference, which further explains that the argument of the multiplier caused issues, blah, 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 whatever, 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 is invalid, because, factually speaking, this is literally numbers. That is not true. If anything, this new multiplier just makes the entire event more fair all around. Yes, you can argue that your game getting picked 5th or 6th in an old multiplier would be better than it is now, but it also applies vice versa if your best game got picked 1st or 2nd. Because now, let's say your best game is Extraction. If Extraction was Game 1, you actually have a chance at making that matter for your team as opposed to previously, because a 7% like value on your team's performance is almost nothing, whereas a 10.5 is significantly higher than it was before. So that's my argument as to why the new multiplier is, in my opinion, better suited for Block Wars, because this also, I feel like, makes the event a bit less competitive overall, because there's less pressure on the voting. It makes the voting a bit more casual, and it's mostly just like, oh, if you want to gain some extra points for your better games, you can try to keep them until late. But even if your game goes out early, it still matters a lot. It's just a slight difference compared to what it was before, pretty much, right? Mostly the final two is only a slight difference. The rest is more impactful depending on how you look at it, which is why I said this in the player server in the feedback channel. I said the complaints about the multiplier apply vice versa as well if you look at the stats, and these are the stats. These are not made up numbers, these are factual stats. This is literally math. Just math. Percentage of points in a game impactful on your team's score at the end of the event because of the multiplier is this. The valid argument, and I talked about this with some Origins people yesterday, is that some games have a base point differential that's way more significant than others, and that is a problem. That probably won't be fixed immediately because it is very difficult depending on what the game is. Because in order to make a very fair point differential, you have to make a choice. You either make, you're either more forgiving for certain performances or you're way harsher on certain performances. And both of those are bad. Because if you're harsher on performances, lower placing players are going to feel worse and going to get rewarded way worse for their gameplay because, you know, there's no like team bonus, there's no etc, etc, etc. Vice versa, rewarding people too much for doing certain performances, likely team-based performances, means that you're gonna have kind of just bonus points for no reason, and that is something that some people don't like, some people do like. I personally would be more in favor of that, because I know that people just like seeing higher points, honestly. Seeing yourself at the bottom of the leaderboard with like 500 points as opposed to 1,000 points when the people above you are like 100 points ahead or like 10 points ahead, you know, the closer gap and the higher number of points is going to be the more appealing one to look at for the most part. And it's going to feel the best, feel the nicest to play in. So that's my opinion on the point multiplier. I know that was one of the big things that people complain about. And again, all feedback is valid, but the reason I wanted to explain why it didn't make sense, this is why I said it didn't make sense. To be fair, I completely understand that thinking about this multiplier as opposed to this multiplier seems like this left multiplier would be the more fair one, but depending on how you consider the event to function, I think this right one is more fair for how we are approaching Block Wars, because it is a bit more for fun leaning and supposed to not be as competitive. So I prefer the one on the right, but if you prefer the one on the left, that is totally fine. Anyways, yeah, and that was pretty much the review of Block Wars 12. I just wanted to talk about it. I thought it was a really good event, despite my team doing poorly. I obviously talked to my team beforehand and let them know, like, hey, we're just gonna have fun. If we lose, it's completely fine. Don't feel bad about it, and just try again next time. You're both welcome for BTMC and Emmerich. You're both welcome to play again if you want to give it another shot. And I mean, that still stands. Obviously, like, this is a learning experience for them, and just for us in general with balancing as well, because we're now, you know, reaching the time for Block Wars to be a bit more experimental again, as we were previously. We were just trying to solidify a roster a bit more, or more so, and bring some people back and try to give most people a chance to play for the first two events, and then we'll see how it goes forward. Going forward, we'll see how it goes. I guess. Also, I did talk to some of the people that played in this event, and it seems like a lot of people are interested in playing again, which is good. I don't know if that applied last event as well. We didn't really have too many like returnees or new people, rather, but I didn't really hear that much last time. But this time around, it was a lot more, you know, forward that people were interested in playing again. So that's good. Hopefully, we can continue to, you know, make the Block Wars gameplay environment a bit more for fun leaning, a bit lower comp, and just find a sweet spot that works consistently, because this event was slightly stronger than the last one, but I liked the last one in terms of balancing a bit more, I think, because it just made for an environment that generally is a bit more welcoming in terms of who can perform and who can have, you know, a pop-off moment or etc, 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 and you don't have to worry about running into a Feinberg every, you know, 5 minutes during the event. Anyways, that's my review of the event. Let me know what you think, and also, next Block Wars, I won't tell you what the date is, but you'll probably hear about it from us next week. So sometime after the MCC, probably, you'll hear from the Blockwars team when the next event is. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.